we all think about omni-channel in that big kind of like broad sense, right? We have to make digital transformation. We have to create cohesive omni-channel experiences. I just use like two of the biggest jargony buzzwords that I think are in the industry right now, which are important, right? They describe how we're trying to make that transformation and they help us all understand why it's important. But at the same time, unless we're in it tactically, we don't totally know what that means, right? So we want to talk about a couple examples, and these are some examples that we're seeing actually from some of the brands that we've chatted with and we're had the opportunity to feature in a recent campaign that some of you may have seen. So Claire, why don't you talk about the first one, which a lot of folks might be familiar with, Daily Harvest, but tell us about how they're doing this.
Yeah. And like you said, Daily Harvest, big brand, awesome brand. Really happy and excited to continue working with them. This example specifically is Daily Harvest, their launch into physical grocery and retail stores, which is something they didn't do in the past. You would typically just purchase through their website and receive it via delivery. So this was an exciting time for Daily Harvest, launching into Kroger specifically, and wanting shoppers to be introduced to the brand in a super memorable way, something that's exciting, something that gets people interested and excited to not only look at the product, but purchase it and know more about it once they make that purchase. Specifically with Daily Harvest, they decided to put QR codes on the freezer itself. So the window, you're at a store, typically people have, let's say, their shopping lists on their phone, or they're looking up a recipe on their phone online. I know everybody does it. You have your phone out, you scan that freezer window. It will take you to the brand, the products, also their sustainability efforts. So that's something super important to Daily Harvest as a brand, and something really great and towards a worthy cause. So essentially what they did, for every person who scans that QR code on the window, they'll donate $5 additional to accelerate their work in regenerative farms. Their products and ingredients are super important to the brand. They want to provide that healthy way of living, as well as, an ease of living. You're not going to take all the time in the world to create a meal. You're going to have it all prepared and packaged for you there to eat and maintain that healthy lifestyle. They also wanted to use QR codes in various other ways. So this is one specific example. Another way they wanted to utilize QR codes was on the physical packaging, so that you can go into it, read the ingredient information about each product in the order or with what you're purchasing in store, since they do have that direct consumer channel open now as well. One more interesting thing they're doing a lot with QR codes, which is great to see, but they also are printing these on shipping inserts, which we've seen at a lot of different companies. It's kind of a new trend that's popped up, I would say, in the past year or so, and definitely expanding into the future. But essentially what's happening here is customers are receiving their mail deliveries. They can scan that QR code on the package itself, and it will take them to a referral link for a friend or family member. Here's this discount code, use it for your next order. Those are being sent by companies all the time, but it's a great way to get people returning to your website and looking at your products and getting them shopping, but also bringing in new customers in a very organic, natural way, as opposed to, let's say, text message you're randomly receiving, or a mail out that's being passed off on the streets, or whatever it may be. So they're doing a great job of diversifying those efforts and making sure they're having impactful QR codes listed out, not only on their products, but also in store and also on different promotion flyers, mail outs, etc. So that's a very exciting project they've been working on.
It's amazing. I love this example. And you touched on it a few times. There's different ways that they're thinking about, it seems, of how QR codes can work within the overall experience. And so there's some of the ones that I think a lot of us are used to seeing. It's like scan to find out more information, to get product information, scan to learn more about sustainability efforts. Those are two very distinct, maybe user interactions that someone might have with a QR code. One, I've got a specific question, or I want to learn more more about something right now. That is like finding out the product information. Maybe I want to see ingredients, whatever it might be. The sustainability efforts, that might be more of a long-term experience that I come back to, right? Like I might scan it and come back to that web page when I open up my phone again or my web browser or whatever it might be. And that helps reinforce a brand later. And so they've, it seems, have found a way to think about the objectives and the ways that they want to communicate about the brand, but they're also thinking about maybe those short-term, hey, this is a more in this moment, give you information, activation experience. And we also have more of those midterm, long-term ones too. So it's very versatile, but it's all in the in-store experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's showing that, you know, this is important to our brand, and we hope that you return to us and, you know, consuming our products, because we do have that care. It makes it a brand that people want to return back to and continue putting their money towards, because they believe in what they're doing. So
Amazing, amazing. Good lesson for us. We can use it in a bunch of different ways, right? For that short term, that long term, but it all builds up more of that brand experience and brand affinity. Very cool.
definitely.
One I wanted to chat about a little bit is another one that's been featured in some of the work that we've been doing. We're putting a spotlight on them as part of our Imagine the Possibilities campaign. Is Smalls. For those of you that aren't familiar, Smalls is a brand that creates that's really focused around cats. And so we think about there's a lot of different brands out there that are working in the pet sector. They've really found their niche of serving those owners of cats, those lovers of cats, the ones that want to have the best products and services and fresh food for their cats that they can have, right? Pet parents are very, very passionate about their fur babies, and so making sure the brands that they choose and the food that they give them is really important. And I say that as a self-identifying dog dad here, so I definitely get it. One of the cool things that Smalls does, we see a lot of QR code use cases from them within their out-of-home advertising, within industry publications, but they're also using QR codes at those moments of purchase and conversion around the different materials and the packaging that they're creating to help create community around the products and services that they have. And I say products and services and experiences for you all because we can help extend this out to the community that you serve. So like I mentioned, cat owners, pet owners, very passionate people, right? We want to connect with others. We like to share pictures of our animals. We like to talk about the funny things that they do or the crazy ways that they act, right? Like that's just part of having a pet oftentimes is sharing the experience that you have. Smalls has done a great way of connecting to that longer term value that they might be able to offer throughout the experience to those that are purchasing their products. And so if you're scanning some of their QR codes, you're going to be taken to their online communities. You're going to be taken to stories about folks who have cats who are also passionate about this experience. And so they're creating more of those moments at the conversion points, at the purchase points, in addition to the advertising that they're doing to make sure that you don't just experience the brand and you don't experience the product when you purchase it or when you take out all the food and put it into whatever drawer that you keep all your pet food in, but you're thinking about you're coming back to this space. And there's a bunch of other brands that are doing great work around this too, of connecting that point of purchase and conversion via QR codes, via the connection from online or offline to online, rather, I should say, to the communities of folks who are repeat purchasers and who really love the brands. Claire, anything that you'd add on this one in terms of what you're seeing with Smalls or you're seeing with other brands that are also thinking about this?
Yeah, I think the creating of the community is essentially what's important here to Smalls. And I think it's right on with pet owners because, you know, everybody treats their pet as if it's their baby, which is great to see, but that's what's important to us. We want to create community. It's a brand that you would purchase, let's say, food from, and then after the fact, you realize, oh, they actually have this forum, or they have customers uploading pictures. It could be, you know, Halloween's coming up. It could be Halloween costume contests, things along those lines that you remember these things. And then you go back and you say, oh, I can look into what types of cat food will be good for my type of cat, or what types of toys might be good in the future for them to use, different things like that, where you can expand upon just purchasing the food. You can actually learn more about your cat, other cats, etc., creating that community.
Yeah, I love that. Our final example is Rad Power Bikes. So we've chatted through kind of that in-store CPG experience around food. We talked about a pet food product, which is more around kind of a lot of the identity that pet owners have and the way that they build community. Rad Power Bikes is another example that has been featured in some of the content and the work that we've done recently. And this is another identity marker for people that are bike riders, that love being bike riders, or they use it for their commute, or they want to get a great e-bike. They want to have a good experience, and they take a lot of pride in what they purchase, right? And so if you've ever been in a bike showroom, or you've been in any of these showrooms where people are showing kind of these high quality identity marker products, you've probably experienced something similar to what Rad Power Bikes does. But I love the way that they've really created what we've called the endless showroom. A lot of people have called the endless showroom, and that the way you can bring an in-store activation. It can be your permanent store, it can be a pop-up, it can be your experience within at a trade show, or a place where you're temporarily showing your products, and really bringing your entire showroom to that experience, your entire product inventory, by placing strategically QR codes throughout the experience. So if I am interested, I want to find out more information, I want to learn more, I want to save that for later, maybe I want to add it to my cart, right? Because I'm not going to buy right there, but I want to make sure that I'm thinking about it and comparing it to the other models that they have. They made it really easy to do that. And so these are actually some shots from their showroom itself, where you can see the way that they allow people to learn more about the specific products that they have. And if you go to any of the Rad Power Bikes spaces where they are, you'll see that there's really QR codes everywhere. What they've found is that's been a really impactful experience for them to be able to bring that endless showroom. If we think about the activity on the QR code itself, we're going to talk about the benefits of using QR codes on different types of packaging and different experiences. They also now understand more of the demand and more of the interest while folks are in store. They are making sure that they're tracking which are getting scanned, maybe at what times, what are getting scanned around by the same device, and how are people going through that experience. Those are all really important things, right? Because it helps you understand a little bit more, not only about how are people experiencing your store, but what are the actions they're taking after the fact, which is important for the brand to build great products for people that are really passionate about it. Claire, anything that stuck out to you when it comes to Rad Power Bikes and the way that they've used QR codes to create a stronger connection between offline to online?
Yeah, I think the one thing I took away that I found super interesting was, the ability to understand when those scans are happening and making decisions based on true data and analytics. Specifically being, let's say they realize on Saturdays, we are getting by far the most scans. So to make those into sales and conversions, maybe you run a 5% sale on Saturdays to get people purchasing more quickly and getting those products out the door. Also with Rad Power Bikes, this is a great way to take pressure off of, feeling the need that you have to fill a store with inventory in hopes that someone connects with that product or that item. Supply chain logistics, there's a lot involved in that. So having an endless showroom and these QR codes available so that people can engage with the products in a digital way, I think that also is a really important thing that more stores and more retailers do need to consider, because it's a great way of getting people in the door, interacting with their products, with the top content they're trying to push out. And it makes it interesting for the customer and a nice experience at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that you brought up the tracking and analytics, right? Because that is really important for folks to consider. So those are three examples that of how we're seeing really innovative brands take their usage of really their plug into the omni-channel experience and their usage of QR codes specifically to make those connections in a bunch of different ways. Those are aligned to very different objectives for these brands and these different retailers. So thinking about how it can apply to you is really important.